So I'm working on the back of this 2018 plus Jeep Trackhawk. Change out my rotors to two-piece racing brake rotors for a customer of mine. So tips and tricks that you need to know if you're going to do this real quick for my master mechanics. You got 2 pins. You can knock them out with a drift. You've got your pad guide plate. It's going to be in there. All that's going to come out. Pull your pads to 18 millimeter on the back. Hold the caliper to the knuckle. All right. Whenever you're going to remove this guy, and I should have made a little video of the drum nut adjustment, you know, but it's so simple on this that I can just literally explain it. So whenever you get into this thing, now mind you, you're going to have to use a hammer, tap this thing, rotate it, tap it, make sure that your e-brake isn't pushed down or actuated in any way. So you're going to rotate this rotor, hit it with a hammer, penetrating oil, WD-40, you know, on the hub, through the studs. You want to do that so that you can kind of break loose the back of the face of the rotor hat. Go ahead and make sure that you go ahead and remove your O-ring, and then I just reinstall mine with Vaseline, clean it up, lubricate it, put it back on. So just shock that rotor with a hammer, continually rotate it, 180 degree opposite hits every time, and eventually it'll come off. And that's all pending that your emergency brake shoe scenario is typical to these cars. This is a 2018 with like 40,000 miles on it. It's a very clean car. If the e-brake hasn't been abused in some absurd or bizarre way, it should pretty much it'll eventually loosen up and come off. Now, mind you, you might have to go through a rigmarole for 10 minutes knocking this thing to be able to get it to come out, and continue as you begin to brake it. Spray that thing with penetrating oil. You're going to brake clean all that off later before you put your new rotor on. It's just an easy trick to be able to get it off. So whenever you get the rear brake rotor off, you're going to observe that you're probably going to have full meat on your brake shoes internally, right? So it normally, and what you'll do is you'll take your new rotor and you're going to test fit it and pull it on and off, okay? And you want it to have a slight amount of resistance, damn near to where you would knock it on with a rubber hammer. So you're going to have a gold adjustment dial in there. As I've noticed, like we're over here on the passenger side, rear. So that gold adjustment dial, 180 to 270 degrees of rotation on that dial will shrink up the shoe system just enough to where you can pretty much slide the hat of the new rotor on. So just kind of play with it. If it just easily slips on, that's wrong. I like mine to kind of be tight enough to where and not say it's 10 thousandths press fit because it has spring integration into the shoe system, but it's something like that. So, and then make sure that your shit's centered. You know, you definitely want to make sure that it's centered. And if you make an adjustment or you play around with the shoes when you knock the rotor off the first time, make sure it's centered when you go to put it back on, and make sure that your shoes are going into the hat cavity. But pretty much it should be kind of a tight fit to get it back on. And once you do, so, you're going to reinstall your pads, lubricate the back, lubricate the side, lubricate your slider holes, lubricate your pins, go ahead and put that in. And of course, obviously pushing your pistons back slowly is the best way so that you can guarantee that they don't just pop out, or sometimes you want to put a pad in there, hold it simultaneously as you go through that process. The 18 millimeter knuckle bolts that hold the caliper to the knuckle are 85 foot-pounds of torque, and just the studs themselves, put a little anti-seize on it, not liberal, just enough to do the job, and torque your wheels at 110 foot-pounds of torque, and that's it's a very simple brake job.